Welcome back to the channel, everyone. So I've avoided this topic for a few days now because I know that it will elicit strong opinions from my audience, and not all of them good ones. But if I'm going to cover pop culture, I can no longer ignore one of the largest pop culture / sporting events in the world. So here we go. The Paris Olympics may be the most derided of modern day Olympics ever put on by any nation. The nation of France, but more specifically the city of Paris, should be embarrassed by all the problems that have occurred since the opening ceremonies. Now, I want to be completely transparent with everyone about this. I was going to begin covering the Olympics on a daily basis as part of this channel's content. I love the Olympics, summer and winter. This is the first time in my lifetime that I can remember that I'm not watching the Olympics. When I think of these sporting games, I have a great appreciation for the amount of time and sacrifice that these athletes put in just to have maybe one shot at winning a medal and standing on a podium. And let's face it, most Olympians do not go on to be major sporting figures for the rest of their lives. Many of them move into obscurity. So there's a purity to these games, at least there used to be. And what better example of inclusivity was there than the opening ceremonies? All of the nations marching in, proud to be there, proud of their heritage, proud of their culture, proud to represent their nation. And even if that nation was not so favorably looked upon within the sphere of international politics, those athletes were welcomed and embraced. Then came the Paris Olympics of 2024, and maybe just another sign of the times where division is given preference over unity. And I don't want to spend too much time on the drag queen Last Supper, so much has already been said about it, but I will say this. Deriding any one group or one culture or one faith is never a positive or constructive action. It only feeds the cycle. And yes, full disclosure, I'm a Christian. So what did I think of the drag queen Last Supper? I felt bad. I felt bad for those who were doing it. To come up with an idea to mock one of the most pivotal moments in one of the largest faiths in the world did not come from a place of understanding or love. It came from anger, and it came from illness. So when people ask me about how I responded when I saw that display, I tell them, I prayed. I prayed for the well-being of those who did it because that's how I felt. I think it's important that when you disagree with someone, you try to understand where their opinions are coming from, even if you continue to dispute the validity of their claims. It's all about context, and the context I felt here was that those individuals involved were in pain, because only hurt and pain can bring about that kind of response and behavior. And then I made the decision to not cover the Olympics on a daily basis. And that was my choice. Everyone else can make their own. But that hasn't stopped me from reading some of the news coming out of Paris about the other issues they're having. First, like I said, context is key. This is supposed to be an Olympics centered around environmental sustainability, something I know a little bit about. So, we get the cardboard beds that were made famous in the Tokyo 2020 games. Now, some have called these anti-sex beds, and I think that claim has been disputed, that the beds are made in a way so as not to accommodate that kind of activity. And fun fact, the Olympic Village is historically one of the most sexually active places on Earth every 4 years. I remember the Atlanta Games in the 90s. The item that could not be kept in stock because of such high demand in the Olympic Village was condoms. And is this a surprise to anyone? You have a gathering of the most fit, hard-bodied young people on the planet? Yeah, they're going to engage in sex. A lot of it. And good for them. Have a blast. You're only young once. But back to the beds. They are made primarily of cardboard, and so uncomfortable that even LeBron James posted that he would not stay there and get himself a hotel, but most Olympians are not as rich as LeBron. And a lot of the athletes have been complaining about waking up each morning and having back pain. Sleeping on cardboard will do that to you. Then there is the food. Sustainability goals will target meat. After all, we have all heard the idea that cows and meat production cause global warming. Again, their words, not mine. So what happened in the first few days of the Olympics? They ran out of food. Specifically meat and eggs. Individual nations had to take emergency actions to get the proper food to their teams. And so we understand each other. The reason why I'm bringing these up is the two most important things for any athlete to compete at a high level are proper nutrition and proper rest, which seems to be a problem at the Olympics. And speaking of proper rest, July and August in Paris are very hot and very humid. I know, I've been there, I'm very familiar with the city. But sustainability, air conditioners create extra carbon emissions, so no air conditioning, so good luck sleeping on your cardboard bed with no AC, with the temperature reaching into the high 80s with high humidity. And if that's not bad enough, it seems that the city of Paris is not ready for the games themselves. There have been blackouts, certain water events postponed because the pollution levels in the Seine River were too high, buses carrying the athletes to their destinations have broken down, one carrying all of the skateboarders to their location had to empty the athletes to the streets of downtown Paris and have the skateboarders use their boards to get themselves to the event. Stories about another bus broke down and some athletes needed to take the subway, actually sitting on the floor of the subway. And speaking of the subway, or what they call the metro, the city of Paris increased fares significantly to take advantage of the influx of tourists looking to take in the summer games. And finally, it really wouldn't be 2024 if the issue of transgender athletes, biological men competing in women's sports, did not come into play. In one instance, Italian boxer Angela Carini quit just seconds into her boxing match against Algerian Amain Khalif because, as Angela says, when Amain hit her, it hurt her like no other punch has ever hurt her before. Why is that? Well, Amain is a biological male competing in a women's boxing tournament. So yeah, the Olympics have become a mirror of the times we're living in, so I decided not to watch, never mind the multiple cheating and doping scandals that are being reported, including the use of drones to record other nations as they practice. And no, the United States are not immune from these accusations, they have also been accused of this kind of cheating. So at this point, I know I'm in the minority, I know this. Viewership for the Olympics is up about 80% over the Tokyo Games of 2020 and the Beijing Games of 2022, which suffered greatly from the COVID restrictions. But being in a minority does not bother me very much, so I'm not watching the Olympics this time around, and I'm okay with that. I'm at the point where when I turn on a sporting event, I want to see great competition, and that's it. All the other stuff I can do without and simply don't care for, on either side, so I'll find something else to entertain me. And that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Have you been watching the games? Are you impressed with how Paris has handled things? Or do you think there have been too many problems? And if you did like this video, remember to like, subscribe, and share it out with others. I thank you for watching. Remember, I'm still your reluctant gringo from south of the border. Salute, and a huevo.